What's up, YouTube? Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Decided to do a video because my wife was talking to me the other night and she goes, "Why do you watch these videos on YouTube?" And I was like, I really enjoy it. And she was like, "Yeah, but there's nothing that ever comes of it." She's like, "What do you get from it?" So, I was able to answer this question pretty easily, but I started thinking about it. I'm like, I wonder if there's an example that I could pull together and show her where I've actually had some type of gain from this outside of obviously increasing my collection and sharing cool cards with friends like you guys. And so I went back, and what's interesting is in March the 10th of 2018, one day before my birthday, Silverjackify did a really good video on the 10 baseball cards for under $30. So, a little over a year ago, and he was kind of outlining this to say, should you spend 30 or less on individual cards, or do you go after the blaster box and hope for the hit? And so it was interesting. It was such a good video to me that I actually ended up buying 5 of the 10 cards that he had recommended at that time. And I thought it would be cool to kind of quickly pull these up as I go through this 10 rounder here, and then I'll look on eBay and kind of tell you, obviously what it's going for now, maybe what it sold for last, and kind of where we are now. So the first card that Silverjackify was recommending was a 1952 any card graded, and he was basically saying, just get a PSA 5 Dick Sizzler. So we're going to look up a PSA 5 Dick Sizzler. And I did not buy one of these. I looked at them at the time, and it was a really good recommendation. I just, at the time, this is not where my collection was heading. And I was just kind of getting into vintage and kind of really learning my way around the hobby again. For so long when I had collected, it wasn't really there. So I'm looking now, and you can still get a Dick Sizzler at a PSA 5 for, looks like there's a $39 or best offer. So, you can still get one. Here's one, buy it now for $30. So you can still get this card in a PSA 5. But I bet you if you went through and looked at all the 1952 top set, I bet there's been some value increase. So the next thing he recommended was, and I thought this was great, and I really appreciated this one. This really helped me with my collection. So he was recommending, go find you a T206. If you don't own one, go buy one, and just to own a piece of history. And honestly, when people come over to my house, a lot of times when they're looking at my collection, the first thing they'll say to me is, "Oh, what's the oldest card you have?" And it's pretty easy. I walk right over there. I grab this T206 that I bought at the recommendation of Silverjackify, and this is what you get. And I bought this card at the time for about $27. So I'm looking now to kind of see what's out there and what you could get this same card for. I see a lot of PSAs. Let me kind of refine this search here. So let's see what SGC has to offer here. And this card is still going for, you can get a 3.5 for $95 now. So that's a pretty good return in 1 year. An SGC 30 good too is about $45 by it now. So not bad, Silverjackify. I'll give you that one. That was really good. So the third card he recommended, which this kind of sparked a whole new collecting avenue for me. And I'm going to do a video very shortly about this whole collection that I kind of kicked off on. And it kind of kicked off with this card. So he recommended that you get a 1989 Topps Traded Ken Griffey Jr. in a PSA 10. And I really like the way that he described this. And he kind of, Silverjackify kind of laid this out and said that, you know, basically people were coming into disposable income, and this would be the card at that age that they would remember, and kind of, this is something that would be within their grasp. And they'd likely go for a PSA 10. You know, this is just something that's pretty highly sought after. So I'm looking right now. There's 27 minutes and 38 seconds on one of these, and it's at $45, so on a bid only. So, you know, not a huge appreciation on these, but I would imagine if you look at like changes to sell, you know, they've definitely gone up in value. And I would argue that this is still an undervalued card at this point. I still think the Griffies will increase. So that was number 3. So number 4, or actually this was 3. He kind of did 2 number 3s. So this is the 1989 Score Traded. And so this is another sweet card. And like I said, I really got off on a tangent with these Griffies for a while there. I was really into this, and was the King Griffey Jr. kind of collection for me really took off. So let's see where this is now. And you know, again, I'm just looking at what they're listed at now. So here's a buy it now for $59.97, and I bought this card for under $30. So, and again, I still think that is probably underpriced for this card. So Silverjackify, another big win on that card there. So, you know, I bought 2 more of his top 10, so we'll get to them and see what they are. I kind of went on a roll here in a row. So this is probably one of the ones that he called really well. The 2013 Topps Update Nolan Arenado in a PSA 10. And this is not a card that I would have gone after at this time had he not recommended this. Just not. I'm a big Yankees fan, and I'm just not a card I would have really thought to go after. And I decided, you know what, I think he's spot on. And you know, one of the things that he pointed out was, you know, he really thinks that Arenado will, you know, be an MVP, future Hall of Famer, and where will this be? So this card in a PSA 10, I just found one right now. Buy it now, $89. So another nice return. So almost 3 times the return if you can sell it at buy it now in 1 year. So that's a pretty good value on that. Up next, this was number 5. So he recommended a 2001 Bowman Chrome, and he recommended to get it raw. I did not go after this. I wish I had. You know, his point was that, you know, Albert Pujols is definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. I would completely agree with that. And at the time, I think he was approaching, I think, 3,000 hits when he did this video. And I'm just going to look real quick and see where this card is. Let's see. Sorry, my computer kind of froze up here. I was moving along. So let's see. Pujols. Yeah, so you can get one of these now raw. They're still pretty affordable. I say that. Here's a PSA 9 for $320, and that's actually, he was looking at an 8.5, and it was under 30 at that time. So I would say this is one of the ones that I should have gone after that I didn't. So good call on that one. Up next, I didn't chase exactly what he was recommending because I actually owned this card. So he was recommending the 1988 Fleer Glossy Edgar Martinez, and he was looking at a PSA 9 at that time. And so let's just take a look and see where this card is. And at the time, you know, Edgar Martinez had not made the Hall of Fame yet. He and Mariano Rivera were very soon to get in, so it was, you know, imminent for them. And as I look this up, let's see, the Fleer Glossy Raw. So PSA 9, $199 or best offer, the first one I pull up. And at that time, you could get one for about $21.99. So just goes to show you, there was some pretty good calls on here, pretty good hits. Looking at a raw one here, you can still get a raw one for pretty reasonable. There's a Gem Mint 10 kind of running through the bids. 1 day left. It's up to $100. Here's a Gem Mint 10. Buy it now for $150. So still affordable, but the prices are all over the place on eBay. So who could say? Up next, the 1987 Topps Traded Greg Maddux. So this was another great recommendation. I got a buddy at work that's a big Greg Maddux fan, and he has been trying to buy his cards recently. He's been trying to get me to trade this, and I'm not willing to let it go. But beautiful card in a PSA 10, just gorgeous. And let's see what the price is on this now. Let's see. So you can get one of these. So here they are. There's 27 bids on it. Those are the Tiffany, so that's going to be a little bit more. So they're about $44 with a buy it now. There's 11 people watching. So you can still get it for pretty reasonable. But again, another good recommendation. And I think this is so cool to go back and kind of look at this. And then the last three cards, I did not pick up this. So he kind of got into two prospects and then kind of spoke to another card. The last three, this one was really funny, so I didn't buy it, but the 2017 Bowman Draft, and this one was numbered to 99, and he was calling him Ronald Acuna. And it was, I don't think Ronald Acuna had been caught up yet, but it was really funny to hear him say that. And, we all butcher their names before we really have an appreciation for who they are. So, not that I'm making fun of you, Silverjackify, so please don't take it that way. I think this video was amazing. I was able to get a lot of good cards from this. So, I'm kind of looking at that Bowman Draft. There's a couple of them on here. I'm trying to find one number to 99, so it's a little harder to do. Let's see here. Number to 99. Here's one number to 250. Buy it now for $30. So, I mean, you know how the prices go. It can be all over the place. But again, we all know where Ronald Acuna ended up being. Very, very highly talented player that he is today. So up next, he had the 2018 Bowman Chrome Anthony Alford. I did not jump on this one either. I was kind of, at the time, I didn't know who Anthony Alford was. And I did my own research. And he could still end up being a great player. But he was looking at an auto of him. And again, all these cards were under $30. And then last but not least was a 2015 Topps Chris Bryant in a PSA 10. So let's see what this is going for today. And he had pointed out that basically Chris Bryant had kind of fallen the back seat for Aaron Judge and a lot of the more popular mainstream players that were kind of coming out at this time. So it was pretty interesting to look back at this and kind of see where it is. So the 2015 in a PSA 10, and this is the Topps. You can still get these for very affordable. So I would argue that this is probably still a good card to get. I mean, I'm looking at a few on here. Looks like you can still get it for $32. So this is one I may just pick up. I mean, I think that's a very worthy card to get. But tried to keep this as short as I could, but it's kind of really fun to go back and look at this. And, so I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to do a video to show you what I have gotten from being able to do this. And again, when I look at these cards, I mean, these are cards that I would not have typically gone down this path. And again, I'll do a video on the Griffey. I've gotten just really far down that road, but this is just a cool piece of history. If you don't own a T206, I highly recommend you go out and get one of these. I mean, just a gorgeous card. And it's just fun when people come over and they're like, oh my God, was that card worth $100,000? I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. But it's just, they love to look at it, and it's just so old, and it's a cool card to have. Well, I hope y'all are having a great Father's Day. I appreciate y'all watching this video. Silverjackify, thank you for the insight that you put into this card community. I always enjoy watching your videos. You've always got good insight to everything, so it's fun to